It's good morning in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and welcome to the Night Sky Imaging channel. I have completed the PixInsight portion of the workflow on IC 1318, and now we're going to take that picture into Photoshop and make some selective adjustments to it using a Photoshop plugin called Nick, so N-I-K. So let's go there now. I need to share my screen, and we'll bring up Photoshop. You should now be on this page. I already opened the image earlier, and I made some of my own selective tweaks, and this is what I came up with. So what I want to do is open the image as we saved it, and it was called IC 1318 ready for Photoshop, and it should come up. And that was the image before we applied some adjustments in Nick, and this is the image after we applied all and before and after, before and after. So let's go to Nick software, and when you download and install Nick collection, this panel will open up, and you can choose for it not to open up, but I use it quite a bit, so I have it handy. And the tool that we're going to be using is going to be called the Vivesa tool. So we're going to double click on that, and Nick will create a layer, and it will duplicate the image, and then it will also create a layer that you can either brush in the effects or make adjustments to the effects long after you have left the Nick software program, which makes it very handy. You can make global adjustments. This area here where it says control point, anything that you do above this line is going to be global. In other words, if you warm the image, you're going to warm all of the image. It does have some presets, and you can scroll down through those presets and see if there's anything there that you like, because you may want to start with those and then make your adjustments to those. But for example, this blue hour is appealing, and if I brought it up, it's kind of an interesting look, but I don't want that. Definitely I'm not interested in that. This is kind of neutral. This is where we started. We'll go back to that, but at any rate, this is our image, and I'm going to click on control point, because what you see below the line will only be activated, the changes will only be made if you move the sliders below the line. I'm going to click on this blue area, and this circle is adjusted, and I'm going to make it large enough to cover the blue I see in this part of the image. Now what Nick does, I want to make sure I'm on blue. What Nick does is that when you start making adjustments to this area, it is only going to affect blue pixels. That's what it's supposed to do, but it does have a spillover effect to some of the other colors, but not much. And I'll show you how you can restore those colors back to what they were. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to have to pull this down so we can see these are our control points. This is where we added one. And so here's our areas of adjustments. Now, I'm going to go to warmth, and I don't want to warm it up. If I warmed it up, it'd be oranger. What I want to do is cool it. I'm going to make it bluer. So I'm going to bring it down. I'm actually going to bring it down more than what I'll keep it at. But I'll show you the final adjustment that I'll make in Photoshop that will kind of balance things out. So I'm going to add another control point, and this time to this area, and I'm going to expand this area. I need to delete that. Click on this and then grab this slider. I still missed it. There we go. And I'm going to grab this slider, and I'm going to pick up all of these kind of orangey, I don't know color names, but it's kind of orangey to me, and it's down here, it's over here, it's over here, there's some in here, but there's also some blue in around here as well, and I'll come back and work on those. So what I want to do now is scroll down, and I want to take the warm slider and I want to move it warm. I want to warm things up, which is going to turn this much more orangey. Now again, I'm going further than I like, but I'm going to make a final adjustment in Photoshop when I leave Nick and pull all these back. Okay, there. I'm going to add another control point, and no, I'm not. I'm going to go to this control point. I'll click on it. I'm going to hold down the Option key on a Mac. I'm going to make a copy of it, and I'm going to go down here to areas that are blue. I'm going to hold down the Option, and I think it's I don't know what it's called on a Windows machine, but I'm using the Option key. You're going to have to play around with that until you find it. I'm going to go over to areas where I see some blue, and there, down here. Okay. Then I mentioned that because of spillover, I do want to restore the areas that I really don't want change. I only want change in the blue or the orange area. So I'm going to go click on another control point, and right here, and I want no adjustments to it, and I'm going to click right here, and I'm going to drag it right here, and I'm going to drag it in these areas where there's not very little luminosity, and right here. I'm even going to expand this a little bit, because I want the background still to maintain its dark, and I want that contrast. I'm going to take this, make a copy of this too, and bring it over here to this dark area, and down here to this dark area. No, I don't. I just messed up. Delete. I just added the blue. Delete. I'll get another control point, and I'll go down here with that control point. Then I'll copy this one. This is a neutral control point. It's going to restore this part back to the natural colors. This is going to give it a lot of contrast. And I'm keep dropping these control points. It takes it a minute to make the adjustment after you've dropped it. It's not immediate. Okay, I'll drop one more, say right in there. Okay, now I don't think there's any other color. Maybe one more. Let's go right in here. Let's expand this a little bit, and let's again move down, and let's make this warmer and redder. Okay, too much. Again, it's a little delayed. There's a lot of information here, and it takes a little time for it to apply. I'm going to wait till it does. Okay, that's kind of subtle, but I think it's, again, too much. I'm going to back a lot of this off when I get into Photoshop. Okay. Now we're going to add another control point. I've lost this. And we're going to add it right here. And what we're going to make a change to is structure. And we're going to bring the structure up a little bit. And it has an effect of sharpening. We're going to copy this down here, copy this over here, copy this here, copy this down here, make a copy of this control point right there, make a copy of this control point, say right in there. Okay, and now that, let's say we're satisfied, we're going to click on apply. You can just go nuts making contrast, saturation, structure, work on the highlights, work on this is just super powerful. You can use your color picker, and you can switch colors. You can create whatever you want to create in Photoshop, and with plugins like Nik and Topaz, you can make some pretty radical changes. It's finishing up. Okay, it's now in Photoshop, and it's getting ready to. It's again adding those changes. You really still don't see them on the screen. Here you go. They're still adding. Okay, it's filling up the screen with the pixels that were adjusted in Nik software, and I think it's finished. I said I was going to dial this back, and I do plan to. I'm going to go to opacity right here, and right below that you'll see a hand. If you just hover right under opacity, you're going to see this hand, and if you'll just click down, then you can lower the effect of this as much as you want. Now the reason why you're seeing the checkerboard is that I've unchecked this background, so I'm going to bring the background back. I'm going to go grab my hand, and I'm going to lower some of the effect of this to about 40%. I'm at 37%. I don't want to overdo it. The last thing I'm going to do in Photoshop is I'm going to create a duplicate layer by hitting Command or Control J. So I have a duplicate layer. And I'm going to apply some sharpening using the high pass filter. So I'm going to Filter, I'm going to go down to Other, and I'm going to find the high pass sharpening. And then I'm going to be looking at, I'm going to click on, say, this area right here, and I'm going to raise the pixel value up, and I'm paying attention to this. That's too much. That's probably a little bit too much too. Let's just leave it at 10 pixels. 9.5 is good enough. Click OK, and then I'm going to go to the blending mode, and I'm going to change that to either soft light or overlay. Overlay is a much more, gives a sharper, it's more sharp than soft light. And if you were looking at this as I'm looking at this, you'll see the difference. I doubt it's going to be noticeable in the video, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to use the soft light, which is the blending mode that applies the least amount of the effect of the high pass filter, because this looks fairly sharp and I really don't want to muddy up the nebulosity. I'm going to flatten the image by going to, we have 3 layers, and we don't need 3 layers now. We're done. I'm going to go up to Layer. I'm going to go down to Flatten, and I'm going to click on Flatten. And now we have 1 layer. And I'm going to save the image. I'm going to save this image. You could save it as a PSD file, a TIFF file. You could save it as a JPEG file. But I'm going to save this for the internet, for the web, because I'll put it on Facebook, and I'll put it on we have a astronomy club, the Roper Mountain Astronomers, and I'll put it on their website in my gallery, and I'll put it on my website, which is nightskyImager.com, in my gallery. And so I'm going to make this, I'm going to click on Export. I'm going to export using the old legacy save setting, and it's for the web, and it just makes it a much smaller file in megabytes, so it's more suitable. Although it's 8,000 pixels wide, we're going to make this say 1800. That's big enough. We're going to save. I already have saved one, and I'll make this, I'll just put this IC 1318 web. I know this is for the internet now, web, and this will be the second version. And I'll click on Save. And we're done with Photoshop. And that is it, my friends. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, great. Click on like, and if you're so inclined, if you want to see more of these, if you'll click on subscribe, then I think you're notified. I'm kind of new to doing these YouTube videos, and as you can tell, I don't script anything. I find I'm using some of the wrong words. I'm just counting on you guys to pick up on it and know what I intended to say. I hope I don't lead you astray, but I am too lazy to try to script these things. I wouldn't remember them, and I hate reading anyway. So you get what you get coming out of my mouth, and I apologize for all the stammering, but at any rate, hopefully this helped you. So consider subscribing, and then you'll be notified of more of my chaotic videos on how to process images and how to find the ISS, and how to image the ISS, and live streaming images of the sun. And I do a lot of live streaming and of my imaging sessions at night and during the day. So with all that being said, I will say goodbye to you guys, and have clear skies. Get your cameras out and start taking pictures. See you later.